Hi everybody, this is Neil and welcome to the first video of this short course. And this video is about plagiarism, what it is, what it can look like, the different variations, and what to be aware of. So if you're new to what plagiarism is, or if you just want to refresh your ideas, please watch this video because it's going to be full of useful information. Also, one of the important things is we might have an idea of what plagiarism looks like, but there can be some important variations. Okay, so let's begin. So on the screen you can see a quote, and this is from the University of Oxford, and this gives a definition of what plagiarism is. So as we're reading it, we can see that plagiarism is really about presenting someone's work or ideas, but you, the writer, don't tell the reader where the ideas came from. You're saying, these are my ideas. No, that's plagiarism. This is the thing. Also, at the bottom where it says, remember that plagiarism is plagiarism, whether you mean to do it or not, basically saying, I didn't mean to do it, or I forgot, or I didn't know, is not really an excuse or a good reason at university. Because at university, you'll be told what plagiarism is from the beginning. So you're clear what it is and not to do it. So saying that you didn't mean to do it, if you get found out, is not a valid excuse. So keep that in mind, everybody. So what does plagiarism include? Well, here are some ideas on the screen. So buying an essay from the internet, unfortunately, this is very common nowadays. You have these so-called essay mills, which are basically organizations where they get, someone to write an essay for a student. So they've got many different subjects, and the student says, I need an essay on this. The essay mill says that it will cost you this amount of money, and they get someone to write the essay, and then the student pays for it. So it's, it shows that the student does not understand what the subject's about. And also really, it's quite common for people who leave things until the last minute as well, and they panic. So it's not a good thing to do at all. And universities are very, very aware of these organizations. Also, it's about having someone else write your work for you or help you. How much help are you getting with your work? Is a friend writing lots of it for you? Does it clearly stand out when it's your writing and your friend's writing? Also, if you're writing in a group work is very common these days, but you submit the work as your own, that's plagiarism, called collusion. Also, we've got more common ideas of plagiarism towards the end: copying without using quotation marks or citations, or paraphrasing ideas without proper citations or references. Okay, both examples of plagiarism. Don't worry about the ideas of citations and paraphrasing and quoting yet. We cover those in the next videos, okay? So they'll be covered in some more detail in the next video, so watch out for them. Also, the last one, auto-plagiarism. Now, this is maybe not always mentioned so often, but basically, if you submit work for a previous course that you've done, now it could be a previous course at the place where you're studying, or it could be a previous course somewhere else. It doesn't matter. If you've already submitted that work, you can't submit it again for another course and it not be plagiarism, because you're just repeating things. Okay, so it might sound strange, but auto-plagiarism is still plagiarism. So what's so bad about it? It might not seem so serious. You think, oh, so what? I'm just got some ideas. I'm not saying they're mine. I'm not saying anyone else's, but I'm just going to put them in. Okay. Well, number 1 and 2, it's stealing and it's lying. So morally, it's wrong, basically, because you're taking someone else's ideas without permission and saying, these are mine, I did all the work. And if you consider that someone, say a writer, has spent a long time researching the information, and for you to come along and just say, well, I'm going to use it without acknowledging it, That's not good. And so stealing, lying, pretending that someone else's ideas or words are yours, that's what you're doing. Also, when you think about university, studying at university, you're here to kind of learn and develop your learning, your knowledge, and to be able to look at different ideas and, say what's good about an idea, what's not good about an idea, that kind of thing. Now, plagiarism means that you're not able to do that because you're basically telling the reader or the person marking it that, look, I don't understand what I'm doing, so here's some plagiarism because I don't know what to do. So it does not show your understanding. So how can you, finish a course, a degree program, and actually say that you've studied what you said you'd studied? What's your knowledge level if you're plagiarizing all the time? Also, the last one, more academic, it's intellectually unethical or offensive because it talks about these academic values. Now, the idea is if you're using someone else's ideas, you would give them credit. You would say, this is the person who wrote this. And the same if you were doing it. Yeah. If you were doing the research and someone else didn't give you credit, wouldn't you be a bit annoyed, a bit offended? That's what's happening if you're not doing it. Okay. So that is what's so bad about it. And let's not forget the idea that, plagiarism is serious academic misconduct. It can result in your marks being capped, so you can't get above a certain level. It could result in you getting a lower class degree as well. It's possible that you could be told to leave a course, but I think this is quite unlikely unless you've done it extensively, but certainly the idea of getting a lower class degree and also getting your marks capped because you've plagiarized, are very real possibilities. Okay. And if you've been studying for a few years on a course, you don't want this to happen. But you might say, look, hold on. I'm not plagiarizing because I'm using the ideas and some of the wording from the source material, and I've referenced it. So is that okay? Well, this is a common problem. Using the ideas, some of the wording from the source material. So you're using some of the words. Well, you've just told me that you're plagiarizing. Is that okay? No, it's not okay. So now, because at the start I said that there were some important but slight variations on plagiarism, let's have a look. What do you think? I think it's important for you to decide and have a think for yourselves. Okay. So on the screen, you can see 8 sentences, or 8 ideas anyway. Okay. Now, I'd like to go through each of those individual ideas and just think, are these examples of plagiarism or not? So pause the recording, of course, if you wish to. And then on the next part, I'm going to give you some answers. Okay. So as you read, you'll see some of them are very similar, but also slightly different. Okay. So plagiarism or not? Okay, I'm going to click to the next part where I reveal some of the ideas. So do you want the good news or the bad news? Well, bad news is they are all examples of plagiarism except numbers 7 and 8. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are all examples of plagiarism. 7 and 8 are not. Okay, let's have a quick look through. So the first one, you're copying a paragraph the same as it is in a source with no acknowledgement of where it came from. Clear and obvious plagiarism. Number 2, you're borrowing a paragraph, changed some words. No, it's still plagiarism. Even though you might have listed the source and the references, it's still plagiarism. 3, borrowing sentences, changed some words, reordered some sentences. Yeah, again, it's just some. You might have a citation and reference, it doesn't matter. Number 4, borrowing phrases of 5 to 10 words from a variety of sources. You're adding your own words as you need to. you're still borrowing these phrases. Yeah, it doesn't matter if the source of the reference at the end. You need sources referenced at the end and also inside the paragraphs. Number 5 is the same as number 4, but instead of referencing at the end, you have in-text citations. Yes, in-text citations are essential, so are references, but you're still borrowing these words from a variety of sources. Number 6, borrowing ideas from sources, express using my own words and examples, referenced at the end. Yes, you might be referencing at the end, but you need to have citations and references together. So that's why numbers 7 and 8 are not examples, okay? Because number 7, it says the same as above, and here above means number 6. So if number 6 says borrowing ideas from sources, express using my own words and examples, referenced at the end, and also with citations, yes, that would be okay because you've got references and citations. So remember, references go at the end of an assignment. The citations are what go in the paragraphs. You need both, okay? And number 8, quoting material using inverted commas or in a block format for long quotes, cited and referenced. So you've got citations and the reference for the source, and you've got the quote in inverted commas. Yes, that's fine as well, okay? So with those answers in mind, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all examples of plagiarism, how did you do? Were you surprised? Did you think some, were okay? And it's possible, okay? Because as I said, because we all think that plagiarism is just, say, number 1, but it's more than that, okay? So be careful. If you're not sure, reference and cite. If you're not sure, always tell the reader where the ideas came from, okay? So, and that brings us to the end of our first video on plagiarism, okay? So I hope it was useful, and I look forward to you going to the next recording where we look at things like referencing, citing, and how to avoid plagiarism.